Hola, buenos días. Mi nombre es Dr. Gombele. Amigo, ¿cómo estás? Bonjour, comment ça va? Je m'appelle Dr. Gombele. Hi, my friend, how are you doing today? My name is Dr. Gombele. Mwana mboka sango boni. Il faut s'abonner, hein? Tiens, va commentaire na ona sekuna. Hein? Il faut aider biso. Today, we are going to talk about a very important medication in the management of diabetes mellitus, particularly in the management of diabetes mellitus type 2. And there is a lot of confusion out there. I'm not sure if it's confusion or the way patients present with the medical condition. Newly diagnosed patients have been given insulin or any other oral diabetes medication. But science tells us that there is only one medication to start with in the management of diabetes mellitus, particularly mellitus type 2. It's going to be a very interesting presentation because it will allow you to understand how the medication is taken, the side effect, and what can make that the medication doesn't work as it should. This is the medication that we all know by the name of Metformin. I have a sample here with me, Metformin. Metformin has been around for quite a long time. It was first discovered in 1922. You remember in some of my presentations that in 1920, 1921, that's when insulin was discovered. Unfortunately, though, the discovery of insulin brought kind of the scientific community was more concerned on insulin and how to administer insulin and try to study the side effect of insulin. So metformin was left behind. But it was not so long when scientific community came to the realization that insulin alone cannot do the job where the management of diabetes mellitus is concerned. So the research was picked up again in the 30s and 40s. Discovered in 1922. In 1957, metformin was approved in France as one of the treatments of diabetes mellitus type 2, along with diet, exercise, and of course, education. In 1958, in the UK, metformin was accepted as a drug of choice in the management of type 2 diabetes mellitus, of course, along with diet, exercise, and education. Before we go though, I'm going to invite you to share, like, subscribe, and more importantly, click to the notification bell so that when I upload my very next video, you can be notified. We are now at 869 subscribers. We still need more. So I invite you to subscribe so that we can reach our goal of 1,000 subscriptions. In the UK, metformin was then accepted as a treatment of diabetes mellitus type 2 in 1958. In Canada, it was approved to treat the same condition, diabetes mellitus type 2, in 1972. And then the Food and Drug Administration in the United States of America approved that metformin should be should be used in the treatment of diabetes mellitus type 2 in 1994. But it was not until the 3rd of March 1995 that metformin hit the American market. And I would like to tell you this, that metformin is one of the widely prescribed medication in the management of diabetes mellitus type 2. And metformin also is the medication of choice. That means if you are diagnosed with type 2 diabetes, your first medication should be what? Metformin. Of course, it depends if the sugar is very, very, very high, you are dehydrated, you have infection, you have gastroenteritis, then we can use insulin, bring it down, and send you home on metformin. But unfortunately, insulin is being used now as a first line in the treatment of diabetes type 2, which shouldn't be the case. All the reviews, all the websites of most of the organizations that deal with diabetes will tell you that metformin is the first medication to start with a patient who is diagnosed with diabetes type 2. Metformin belongs to a group of medications that we call biguanides, right? Biguanides is the family, and metformin is a member of that family. So we say that in 1995, it hit the American market and it went wild all over the world. The branded name of metformin is glucophage. Glucophage means sugar eater or glucose eater. So this is a medication that came into the management of diabetes mellitus type 2 to eat the sugar. As you know, type 2, whatever diabetes we are dealing with, it has to do with too much sugar in the blood. Now, we start now explaining how metformin works. Mode of action. Metformin treats diabetes in 3 different ways. The first, it reduces the amount of sugar that liver releases in the bloodstream. Oh, you know, when we eat a lot of starch, a lot of sugar, we drink a lot of soda, so there's a lot of sugar in the blood. So what liver does, liver will get those excess of sugar, put them in some blocks that we call glycogen. Keep them somewhere. Then when we are sleeping, right? Or when we are fasting, then liver will release that kept sugar in the bloodstream so that we don't die. And I always heard people say, Doc, only God knows what I'm eating, right? But my sugar is always high because the moment you start fasting, the brain sends a signal to the liver, hey, somebody is dying here, so you have to release the sugar that you have kept somewhere. So metformin really helps to decrease the production or the release of the sugar from the liver into the bloodstream. That's one. 2, what metformin also does is to make the body sensitive to insulin. We have said it over and over that type 2 diabetes is nothing than what? Insulin resistant. That means the blood becomes resistant, the body becomes resistant to the work of insulin. Then what is the work of insulin? Is to get the sugar from the blood, from the vessels, into the body where this sugar will be used as a source of energy. So insulin acts in that manner. It makes the body sensible. It makes the body more sensitive to the action of insulin. Third and the last, metformin also decreases the reabsorption of sugar in the intestines, right? So 3, decrease the production or decrease the release of sugar from the liver to the bloodstream. 2, it makes the body more sensitive to insulin. 3, it decreases the reabsorption of sugar in the intestine. These are 3 methods of action that metformin uses to control diabetes. What are the benefits of metformin? 1, metformin promotes weight loss, right? So people who take metformin tend to lose weight. And 80 to 85% of diabetes mellitus patient type 2 are what? Are obese. That obese or overweight. That's why metformin should be the first medication to use in the management of type 2 diabetes. It is tolerable, but it makes my stomach upset and diarrhea and vomiting. But generally, it is a well-accepted medication. What I do, I don't start in the high dose. I start like 250 and gradually we go up. In fact, we are told that we don't even start with metformin. We start with what? Diet, exercise. If diet and exercise fail, then we have to jump into metformin. But you tell us diet, you don't teach us diet in universities. So most doctors will just go straight into medication. And if you are not lucky, they start you on insulin. But metformin should be the first medication. It is tolerable, and then it also helps to lose weight. Another benefit of metformin is that it can be used in the management of polycystic ovarian syndrome, right? Because everybody who has polycystic ovarian syndrome, that means his body has become what? Resistant to insulin. So that's how metformin works, where we talk about the management of type 2 diabetes. How do we administer metformin? Of course, metformin is administered by mouth, right? We take it by mouth, by no other way, by mouth. But I think there is a suspension, like a liquid metformin, I think in the US, but generally in the Caribbean and in other parts of the world, we use tablet, right? So what I mean, tablet, this is one, all right, tablet. Wow, they are a bit big, huh? This is one, and when we say we take it by mouth, you put the tablet in your mouth and then you swallow. All right, so it comes in different strength, right? This one is what? It's 100 milligram, all right? So you put in your mouth. The maximum dose for metformin is 2,000. So within 24 hours, you can only take 2,000, broken in 2 times. Now, when we say that it's taken by mouth, twice a day. The day has 24 hours. You divide 24 hours by 2, you get what? 12. That means every 12 hours, you should take 1 tablet of metformin, right? Now, metformin is taken with food. It does not mean when you take your breakfast, when you take your lunch, or when you take your dinner. It means every 12 hours, right? You take metformin and you eat food. Because if you're going to use this as when you take your breakfast, when you take this, it may be a problem. Twice per day, some people, okay, my first lunch was at 6 o'clock and my other lunch is at midday. No, every 12 hours. And if we say a medication is taken 3 times a day, you divide 24 by 3, it gives you 8 hours. That means every 8 hours you take that medication. If that medication requires meal, that means when you take the medication, within every 8 hours, you eat. Because if we say that you take 3 times a day with meal, or people will take it at 6 o'clock when they have breakfast, at midday when they have lunch, and at 6 p.m. when they have their dinner, that you are taking too close, right? You have to stretch it out every 8 hours, right? So the metformin is taken that way. That for if you want to take twice a day. But we also have other other formulations. You will see in the box ER. That means extended release, right? Sometimes you can see SR, sustained release or slow release. Those are metformin that you take only once a day because it releases right through the time frame, like 24 hours. It releases in the bloodstream, right? So you don't need to take it twice, only once. It will be written here ER, right? Extended release, right? Or SR, slow release. Your doctor will advise you. And many people like this because it promotes compliances. You just take it once a day and done, right? Especially the big tablet like this. Some people have problems swallowing. But when I'm sick, I will swallow anything that will help me to get better. Okay? So that's how we take metformin with food. Now, whenever we take a medication, right? We take a tablet, it gets into the body, it doesn't stay in the body. It must be broken down. And we call it what? Drug metabolism. It has to be broken down. And then sometime in the process of being broken down, it changes. We call it metabolite, right? And sometimes it doesn't change. It's broken down, but it remained as we have taken it. But metformin, it is not metabolized, right? It doesn't change. So when we swallow it, it stays, and it comes out of the body the same way we had taken the medication. Now, the way the medication comes out of our body, we call it excretion, right? So metformin really comes out of our body through the urine, unchanged, as I said earlier. So when we take metformin, normally within 24 hours, the medication should come out of our body via what? Via urine. So when you go to the bathroom to pee, that's where the metformin comes out of our body. So before we continue talking about metformin, I'm again inviting you, please kindly subscribe, share, like, and never forget to click the notification bell so that when we upload our very next video, you can be notified. And remember to leave your comment at the bottom so that we can respond to them. And then as usual, we are glad that you can do that. All right.